What is going on, everyone? I hope you had a fantastic weekend. This week will be one of the most exciting weeks in the stock market that we've seen in a long time. Not only did the S&P 500 crack a brand new yearly high on Friday, but this week we have more exciting earnings. We have an FOMC interest rate decision with the man, the myth, the legend, Jerome Powell. We have inflation data, and we also have some crucial decisions coming from the major central banks around the world. We have a great video today. This week is going to be a very exciting one, and I'm super pumped up. So I hope you guys are too. But with that being said, Tom, let's jump right into it.
Yeah, Mike, that market was insane on Friday, and like you said, we made new highs of the year, at least on the SPY, so that's really cool to see. The SPY has been very explosive lately, and we've seen a lot of amazing uptrend. Now, for the past 2 weeks or so, it's been pretty choppy, but before that, the SPY, as it was coming up to these levels, it was on an insane run, and it was nice to see it break that 460 level on Friday, so I'll continue to look at some nice bullish continuations here. Maybe we can keep running up above this high. But Mike, as we all know, there is an action-packed economic calendar this week. And when I say action-packed, boy, we have everything on the schedule. So on Tuesday, at 1 hour before open, we actually have the CPI data and the inflation data coming out, which is going to be super, super important. And then 1 day later, we have the PPI data coming out in the morning. And then Powell will actually speak at 2 p.m. Eastern time on Wednesday as well. So Tuesday and Wednesday are going to be huge days for the economy and for the stock market. We're going to see some pretty insane volatility coming in, Mike. And right now it looks like with the FedWatch tool, they're pricing in almost a 100% chance of a pause, which is good. And that as of right now, it looks like the hikes are starting in May, but the March actually has a pretty high chance for a cut as well. I meant to say cut a second ago when I was highlighting this.
Yeah, no problem. But what I think is going to be super interesting is as we look at the market overall over like the past month, right? It has been rising quicker than we've seen in a while, right? And while it's great to see, Jerome Powell doesn't necessarily want the stock market blasting like it was during the money printer days of 2020. He just wants like a nice calm environment. So I'm curious, like when he gives his speech on Wednesday, how his sentiment will be, because he's kind of balancing between like keeping everyone calm, but at the same time, he doesn't want everyone to get like super euphoric like everyone was just a couple years ago. So it's going to be like a big balancing act for Jerome Powell right here. And I'm curious to see what he says.
I know, right? I feel like he might even come out, Mike, and be a little bit hawkish in a way, try to maybe bring that market down. And I know that's weird to say considering, obviously the market's been doing so good. But like you said, they almost need those numbers to come in a little bit worse. And we saw unemployment data last week that suggested jobs numbers were actually still doing pretty good too. So it seems like they're just like getting those talks more towards maybe like rate hikes or even maybe not a hike, but even just like keeping the rates higher for longer. I think that might be what they really talk about. And we might see those percentages start to change on the FedWatch tool whenever they talk about this. Like, for example, they might take the chance for a cut away in May, and then maybe it'll look like it's going to start cutting in June then or something if they say something along those lines.
Exactly. And another thing worth noting too is on Tuesday, basically the last inflation rate number came in at 3.2%. This next one is expected to come in around like 3.1% or so. So if it comes in higher than that, that can also change things in a pretty big way and definitely bring some fear into the market. So like, for example, let's say the inflation rate comes in at like 3.3% or 3.4% or something like that, that can completely change sentiment almost like instantly.
Exactly, because then that'll show that inflation's actually rising a little bit again, which is obviously not good. So that's obviously huge on Tuesday, 1 hour before the market opens, CPI data. And what this does could actually end up affecting what the feds do at their meeting or exactly what they talk about. Because if inflation does start coming up a little bit again, then obviously I'm sure some reporter is going to ask Powell about that in the questionnaires after.
You know that, Tom. But on a different note, Jerome Powell in the United States is not the only big country that has a major central bank rate decision this week. Looking at the map right here, you can see we have a lot of European countries with some crucial central bank decisions as well. Russia as well, and some countries in South America. So it's going to be an exciting week no matter what.
It really is, and it looks like almost every country in Europe, or at least Central Europe, is going to have a big decision this week too. The UK, France, Spain, Portugal. Man, it looks like just about everything, Mike. So I'm gonna really sit here and hope that everybody it stays calm, right? I hope that they don't flip the script, and we'll see what Powell does. Maybe that'll end up impacting quite a bit too. And you can see on which days who reports. A lot of Europe actually is going to be doing this the day after Powell does it here in the U.S. So maybe they'll look at what he does a little bit.
There we go. And what's also super, super interesting is that the volatility index, or VIX, is at its lowest level since 2020. This is where it really gets crazy, because basically what this is saying is that the market isn't expecting like anything like too crazy in the short-term future, and it basically means no one's really panicking right now, which, I mean, how could you blame them? The market has just been inching higher over like the past month. But basically, when you have these giant events, this will bring in volatility to the market. So basically what this means is, if we start to see a move, whether it's like super bullish or super bearish, it can accelerate very, very quickly. So either way, volatility's coming, and it's going to be an exciting week. I'm pumped up. That's all I could say.
It really is, and there's going to be a lot of fun opportunities here. And like, let's say that the Federal Reserve, let's say that they flip the script and then they start making the market come down. And like, let's say that the volatility starts jumping up a little bit. What are some things that we could play? I really like UVXY in the short term. This thing can really pop off if obviously something goes crazy. Now, I'm not saying just to buy this and hold it into the event. Definitely don't do that. But in the price action following the event, then I would maybe start to look at UVXY if we do see that negative reaction out of the overall market. But I do like UVXY. I'll even watch SQQQ and SPXS as well. We mention these quite a bit usually. And Mike, if the market ends up doing great and pops off, I'm going to look at Quad X here, XXXX. Holy crap, we have 4X leverage now.
Exactly, you beat me to it. So basically, if the market starts popping off, XXXX is we'll call an ETN, but you could just call it a stock for easy reference that'll go up 4 times the magnitude of the overall market. So if SPY rises by, let's say, 1%, theoretically, XXXX should rise by 4%. So it's fun for short-term trading, but you definitely don't want to hold this one over long periods of time because of the volatility decay. But yeah, those are some great ETFs that you mentioned there, Tom. And while we have a lot of exciting events on like the, macro scale like we talked about, we also have a couple exciting earnings for this week as well. Lead us into them.
Yeah, exactly. So on Monday, we actually have Oracle reporting, which is a huge tech stock. So make sure that you keep your eyes on Oracle. They're going to be pretty big. On Tuesday, it looks like Johnson Controls. Wednesday, Adobe, another big tech stock. That's going to be a big report. Thursday, I think, is going to be the biggest day, though, Mike. We actually have Costco reporting here in After Hours Thursday with Lennar, L-E-N. So those are going to be 2 huge companies reporting, and Costco is going to be big for the retail sector. They better not raise the price of those hot dogs in the meeting following it.
Oh, yeah. So good stuff there. Keep a close eye on these stocks for the week. But with that being said, Tom, let's jump right into some setups and predictions for tomorrow. One stock I'm watching very closely is SAVA. So basically, SAVA had an amazing day on Friday as the stock popped by 17%. And basically, it's like a biotechnology stock, and these stocks move a ton based off of any sort of news or optimistic outlook or anything like that. And basically, they added some people to its board of directors. Investors loved it. But either way, this stock is a pretty big mover in both directions. It had an insane move from like the beginning of 2021 where the stock was about $5 a share, and then basically at the end of July of 2021. This stock went all the way up to like 145. Since that point, it has faded off, but it has also been like holding itself up in a pretty strong way over the past like year or so. Plus, it's getting some great recent news, some good, strong, bullish price action, and it's also getting pretty close to breaking a recent high, right around like 25.50. So I will be watching this stock to the upside for the week. The more volume and the better the price action, the better the setup becomes. So like, for example, if this stock opens up Monday morning and it's just like lollygagging around with just like normal volume, then the setup isn't going to be all that. However, if some very strong volume's coming in, some really strong bullish price action is coming in, then it can really like cause like that breakout to go crazy. So that's what I'm looking for, and this is a stock I'll be watching pretty closely.
Yeah, SAVA, huge moves lately, 17%. Definitely no joke on the volatility on this one, Mike. With my first play, I'm going with Boeing, and it's another stock that has been starting to see a lot of bullish price action come in, and it made new highs of the year again. So actually, it's at new highs over the past couple of years going back to 2021. So I'll be watching this stock for a continued breakout. I love that 240 break last week, and it broke, like I said, new highs of the year. So as Boeing goes up, I'll be watching for it to break 245 tomorrow and then maybe get into some calls. But it's nuts, Mike. Boeing, the airlines, and the cruise lines have all been really popping off here over the past month or so.
Yeah, no doubt about that, and it's kind of rare, to be honest with you, Tom. Boeing's been kind of stuck in the mud ever since the pandemic.
I know, right? And there's been so much bearishness associated with them with all these problems with their planes and everything like that, but they've been getting some new orders lately, and I'm glad to see them kind of coming out of the, digging themselves out of the grave, I guess I'd say.
Yeah, they're slowly starting to see some daylight. So there we go. Another stock I'm watching pretty closely is WBD. So basically, this stock had a pretty decent day on Friday. It was up by around 6%. I hold this stock for the long term, and I still think it's at a pretty awesome level. So there's that, but I also like it for the short term as well. It's starting to move with some great momentum. And even more importantly, over the past like 1 to 2 weeks, we've been seeing more and more of a rotation into some of these stocks that have just been beaten down so much from their all-time highs, whether it's Zoom or PayPal or any other stock that's just been beaten down. They're starting to see some great recent price action, so that helps this setup right here. But either way, I'm looking at WBD to the upside, and this play is not usually a play that'll be up like 30% in a day. It's more so one of those stocks where it's like it can have big moves, but it can take like multiple days to play out.
Yeah, I know that, Mike. And hey, this stock's actually awesome. I love the way it's bouncing off support. It has some higher lows going on right now. And like you said, that rotation has been really friendly to some of these stocks. And it has a very weak correlation to SPY, at least over the past year. So I love it for that. And with my next stock, it's also a stock that has been kind of beaten down lately and also has a fairly weak correlation to SPY, and that's MGM. It's another good stock on the daily chart to me. It's starting to break its recent highs, which we've seen a lot of these setups lately where these stocks are starting to break out above like that channel that they've been stuck in for the past couple weeks. Even the SPY did, and it made a new yearly high. So I'll keep watching MGM here. It's breaking out, and I think there could be at least like 1 to 2 more nice bullish green days out of this stock before it starts to slow down, because that break is pretty good. It was stuck in that channel for a long time.
Yeah, and what also helps like MGM and like the whole travel industry by itself is to see other stocks kind of, I don't want to say in its industry, but other stocks that tend to move with hotels also on the rise. For example, we've seen certain hotel stocks increase lately, but we've also seen like certain airline stocks increase, like AAL or LUV or a bunch of other ones. At the same time, we're seeing cruise lines increase as well, whether it's NCLH or CCL or any ones like that. But the main thing to see is that there's been like a flood of buyers into this whole, what I'll call, area of the market. So that just helps your play even more.
Yeah, I love it. You know, and that rotation is awesome, Mike. And I don't know, like, what's going on with travel, do you think, that's kind of causing this huge upswing here? Because I would have thought, heading into the more winter months, stuff like that, that it might start to slow down a little bit, then maybe do better in the summer. But hey, I'll take the nice uptrends. I was buying LUV a lot at the bottom, so I'll take it. That $22 to $23 range was just amazing down there.
Yeah, I know like the recent holidays have been pretty beneficial for airlines. Of course you have Thanksgiving, but then Christmas coming up and New Year's and all the other holidays as well, and I know that the whole travel industry has been pretty strong lately, so that just definitely helps out. But overall, good stuff there, and let's get right into some momentum plays for tomorrow. With the first one, we have FCX to the upside.
FCX, yeah, pretty good stock on Friday, up 4.89%. They have a nice double top here, so make them break out above 38.42.
All right, with the next one, we have Chewy also to the upside.
CHWY, yeah, this one's actually been stuck in a range here for a little while, but if they can break out above 1960, I'll look at calls.
All right, and then with the last one, we have DocuSign for both directions.
DOCU, on Friday, they had a pretty good day, so if they can break the high right around $50.50, then go ahead and look at some calls. But they are back under $50 now, which is a pretty big even number. If they fall under 49, then eye up puts.
All right, so we have that downside level for puts, and we have the upside level for calls. This is for DocuSign. Don't forget about Chewy and FCX also for potential upside plays, but they are only plays if they break above the levels Tom listed. But on another note, Tom, we have a pretty big money trade today, and that is with NEO. So basically on Friday, a big money trader dumped over $2 million into the NEO $7.50 strike call options that expire on June 21st of 2024. NEO is one of those stocks that is very good for short-term trading and has also had such a crazy history. Basically, in 2020, this no-name stock went from $2.84 all the way up to like $67 a share, and it really made a name for itself. But since that point, it has been fading off. But over like the past year, it has been holding up pretty well, and it is lingering right above that $7 mark. Basically, when this stock has momentum, it can run in like a very strong way for, weeks to months at a time, but it's all about like actually starting that like upward momentum trend, you can say. And basically what we're seeing is, we saw a big money trader kind of bet on this potential trade right here, which, the risk reward's pretty awesome. And then NEO has NEO Day coming up pretty soon too. So keep a close eye on this one.
Yeah, NEO Day is actually going to be on December 23rd, so that's going to be a huge day for them coming up, Mike, and I don't blame the big money for getting into this. I've actually followed the other big money play that came out that's going out to June as well, so we've been seeing two huge big money plays on NEO here. Obviously, they're at different price points. One's the 9 strike call, one's the $7.50 strike call, but there's a lot of big money plays, both over $2 million, Mike, in the past month or so. So I'll be watching this one so close. I love that $7 support, and it's one of those plays that is kind of like a set it and forget it right now, right? Especially with NEO Day coming up and with us being at support, I think it could be amazing to hold over the next 2 to 3 months. And I'm not saying to like go all into these calls or anything, but at least a few could go a long way.
Yeah, is it the safest play ever? No, definitely not. But if the momentum does end up like starting, the stock can have a lot of potential. So either way, keep a close eye on this one. It has a great history of running in both directions, but it's all about actually seeing that uptrend actually start. Last week, it really tried to break out, but it got rejected. But again, they have some pretty exciting events coming up as well. We're still above a pretty crucial support. So I think this stock will be one of the more exciting ones to watch, not only for this week, but even, a couple weeks out.
Yeah, and I think that NEO Day could just maybe even spark a lot of, I would say, bullish price action into some of these EVs, right? Because Tesla, their event definitely didn't. Their stock's been holding up okay, but it hasn't really gotten the huge breakout yet. Although, I will say, going over to Tesla's chart, it's now sitting right on the trend line again that everyone's been watching.
There we go. All right, Tom. Well, this week should be a pretty exciting one. I think there's going to be a lot of great movement in both directions. And I think the key this week is going to be the willingness to adapt and not marrying one specific setup. And I think this is going to be extremely important this week because of the huge events that we have. Not only do we have the FOMC event, but we have a lot of big central bank rate decisions around the world. On top of that, we have inflation data, and the VIX is at its lowest point since January of 2020, and the market made a brand new yearly high on Friday. Volatility's here. Don't marry one specific setup. Be willing to move. Be willing to adjust. And I think this week's gonna be a great one.
I know, right? And the Fed meeting is going to seriously be, I think, what really dictates that price action, because whatever Powell says, we all know everybody's going to have their eyes on it like they're looking through a microscope. Even if he just coughs, people are going to, or he wears the wrong color tie, people are going to be like, what the hell's going on? So, but I love it, Mike. It makes for some fun price action, and that's the big thing here. There's going to be a ton of opportunities coming out of this, so be ready for those and start to formulate some good strategies going in.
Let's get it. Last but not least, if you want in on this short-term price action, definitely check out the Stocked Up trading floor. SM Bot had a absolutely phenomenal week last week, and a bunch of people just crushed it on Friday. Great job to everyone in the Profits channel, and to even if you didn't post, it was a great week. If you want to join in, check out that first link in the description, in the comments down below. You'll get access to our army of trading robots. You can chat with Tom and myself all day long. You can join our live Q&As on Wednesday, among many other pieces of technology, benefits, and features. It's that first link in the description and the comments down below. But besides that, thank you guys so much for watching, and let's have a phenomenal week in the markets.